Good morning, Friendship United Methodist Church. I'd like to welcome you on this first day of March 2026. We're looking at the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 4, verses 1 through 11 today on the temptation of Jesus. So I want to go over that with you. Verse 1, in 4 verse 1. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert to be tempted by the devil. After 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." And Jesus answered, "It is written, man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city, had him stand on the highest point of the temple. "If you are the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command the angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "It is also written, do not put your Lord your God to the test." And again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. "All this I will give to you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." This is the scene in the wilderness that we're going to be looking at today. Jesus has been led there by the Spirit, not by the devil. Please note that. Please note that. It didn't say that, but not led there by the devil, led there by the Spirit. And this is a necessary experience for Jesus if he is to fulfill God's plan. He must face the tempter. For temptation is very much a part of the human existence. Jesus was fully divine and fully human, so he had to have this experience. Each of us must spend time in the wilderness struggling with Satan, and I'm certain we all have at one time or another in our lives. After his famous expedition to the South Pole, Admiral Richard E. Byrd was riding on a train, and a man came up and asked, "What did you miss the most while you were at the South Pole?" Byrd answered that they missed a lot of things. Some of them they didn't mind missing, and others they did, and some they were very glad to get away from. He said he was discussing that very thing in the middle of the 6 months long polar night with an Irishman back at the camp, Jack O'Brien. And Obie asked Byrd, he says, "Jack, what?" Byrd asked Obie, he says, "What are you missing most from civilization?" And Obie answered without hesitation, "Temptation." Temptation, friends, is a very real part of life. Temptation to stray from the things that we value and hold dear. Temptation to take shortcuts to avoid struggle, to find the easy way through. We all have to deal with the tempter. It may be, in fact, that temptation is essential for our spiritual development. We struggle with our passions, our human drives, and out of that struggle comes character. In the stories of the Desert Fathers, there is one concerning Abbot John the Dwarf. And Abbot John prayed to the Lord that all passions be taken from him. And his prayer was granted. He became impassible, otherwise showed no emotion. And in this condition, he went to one of the elders and said, you see before you a man who is completely at rest and has no temptations. The elder surprised him. Instead of praising him, the elder said, go and pray to the Lord to command some struggle to be stirred up in you. For the seed, the soul, is only matured in battle. For you see, the soul is only matured in battles. Abbot John did this, and when the temptation started up again, he did not pray that the struggle be taken away from him. Instead, he prayed, Lord, give me the strength to get through this fight. The Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. How else would he know our situation if he had not walked the valley that we walk? He had to experience it to fully understand humanity. The Spirit led him into the wilderness, and it's a very familiar scene to you. Jesus had been fasting. He was hungry. The devil came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread. And they will. I said that. Yeah. Jesus proved he was the Son of God by resisting the devil, saying, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him up to the holy city, highest point on the temple, set him on a pinnacle, and said, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will give angels to take charge of you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. And again, Jesus proved he was the Son of God by resisting the devil, saying, again it is written, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. Finally, the devil took him to a very high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he said to him, all these I give to you if you will bow down and worship me. And Jesus said, begone, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. Notice, friends, notice how the story ends. Then the devil left him, and behold, the angels came and ministered to him. Waiting for the angels. That's our theme for this morning. Friends, life is difficult. We've all had difficulties in our life, haven't we? We have. We're not going to deny it. Life is difficult. It's filled with tests, and trials, and temptations. No one is immune from these tests, trials, or temptations. First appearing in 1914, the Morton Salt Head Girl, and the little blue container with the girl with the umbrella with the slogan, when it rains, it pours. How many of you have ever quoted that little slogan in time of a crisis? When it rains, it pours. Sometimes it seems that way, doesn't it? That everything goes wrong all at once. Forbes magazine printed an interesting little item some time back. It said, mosquitoes cause us trouble, but not as much as they could. For there are about 41,000 mosquitoes for each of us. Man, sometimes it seems as if all those 41,000 mosquitoes gang up on us all at once, doesn't it? Just boom, boom, boom. Bad news, bad news, bad news. As someone said about Murphy's Law, if anything can go wrong, it will. Murphy was an optimist, by the way. In 1916, Georgia Tech University in Atlanta played a football game against Cumberland University, a tiny law school. The Tech team was a mighty football powerhouse, rolled over Cumberland by the score of 222 to nothing. Needless to say, Tech also pretty well beat the Cumberland players to a pulp. I mean, they just trounced them. Toward the end of the game, Cumberland quarterback Ed Edwards fumbled a snap from center. As the Tech lineman charged into his backfield, Edwards yelled to his back, "Pick it up, pick it up!" Edwards' fullback, seeing the monsters rush in who had beaten him all day, says, "You dropped it, you pick it up." That fullback was tired of being beaten to a pulp, friends. And we sympathize with him. Life does that sometimes, doesn't it? Life is difficult. Jesus was led into the wilderness, and sometimes we must enter the wilderness as well. It is in the wilderness, friends, that we experience God's ministering angels. That's the good news of the day. Satan leaves us and the angels come. Usually those angels are other people. Mine was Joe Albright and his wife many, many years ago. The Russian writer Dostoevsky tells about an experience he had as a boy. As a child, he loved to walk in the forest on his family's country estate. Often, he searched for mushrooms in the forest. One day, he heard the most terrifying cry a child could hear in that part of Russia, and it was the cry, "Wolf!" And hearing that cry, Dostoevsky panicked and dashed for a clearing in the woods. His scamper drove him right into the arms of an old serf who worked for his father. The peasant quieted him and held him for a few moments. He soothed his fears and reassured the lad that he would guard him until he reached home. Writing about this incident years later in prison, Dostoevsky remembered the gentle caress of this old peasant. As he reconstructed that experience, he realized that in the wilderness of that uneducated man, he had experienced the comfort of a loving God. That is the way God comes to us through other people. They become God's ministering angels. Instead, that is the most beautiful ministry that God gives any of us, to become a ministering angel to someone. I've had angels minister to me, as have you. And usually they are friends or fellow church members, people I already value. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes God comes to minister to us directly. William H. Henson tells about an amusing article that appeared in his local newspaper. Several years ago in Houston, Texas, there was a rash of incidents in which dogs attacked small children. As a result, the newspapers had ran several stories about the attacks, some of which were pretty gruesome, as you can imagine. There was one, however, involving a little boy called DJ that was not so tragic. A reporter asked DJ how he managed to come away from a recent dog attack unharmed. And you can almost picture the serious expression on the little guy's face as he said, "Well, right in the middle of the attack, the Lord spoke to me." "Oh, really?" asked the reporter. "What did he say?" He said, "Run, DJ, run." Goodness. There may have been times in your life in which God has whispered, "Run, Rocco, run." Or "Run, Paula, run." "Run, James, run." Particularly, this is a valuable message when we are tempted. In one way or another, to those who believe in his promises, God always sends his angels. And this is particularly true in life's most difficult moments. Singer Johnny Cash discovered that in a dramatic way when his older brother Jack was fatally injured on the job. Jack worked in a wood shop. He fell across a saw, and Jack lingered for a week before dying. He drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes hallucinating and then falling back into a coma. And after a week of his conditioning worsening, it was obvious that there was no hope. The family gathered in a hospital room, and Johnny Cash tells the story. "I remember standing in line to tell him goodbye. He was still unconscious. I bent over his bed and put my cheek against his and said, 'Goodbye, Jack.' And that's all I could get out. My mother and daddy were on their knees. At 6:30 a.m., he woke up. He opened his eyes and looked around and said, 'Why is everybody crying over me?' 'Mama, don't cry over me. Did you see the river?' And she said, 'No, I didn't, son.' 'Well,' he said, 'I thought I was going toward the fire, but I'm headed in the other direction, Mama. I was going down a river, and there was a fire on the other side and heaven on the other. I was crying, God, I'm supposed to go to heaven. Don't you remember? Don't take me to all the fire.' And all of a sudden, I turned. And now, Mama, can you hear the angels singing?' And she said, 'No, son, I can't.' And he squeezed her hand and shook her arm, saying, 'But Mama, you've got to hear it.' Tears started flowing, rolling off his cheeks, and he said, 'Mama, listen to the angels. I'm going there, Mama, I'm going there.' Johnny says, we listened with astonishment. 'What a beautiful city,' he said. 'And the angels singing. Oh, Mama, I wish you could hear the angels singing.' Those were his last words before he died. Johnny Cash adds, the memory of Jack's death, his vision of heaven, the effect his life had on the lives of others, and the image of Christ he projected have been more than an inspiration to me, I suppose, than anything else that's ever come to me through any man or woman. You may have questions about such near-death experiences. I hope, however, that when that moment comes to me or someone I love or have loved, I'll be listening for the angels, because they do come, friends. They come in this world. Why should they not come in the next? They are there for us as we await our entrance into the heavenly kingdom. God bless. Amen.